Why didn't anyone stop this? Did the host go to jail?
People were looking back at old scenes and saying, Dan Schneider is obsessed with feet. This feels inappropriate for children.
When TV shows market themselves as appropriate for kids, you would expect fun, bubbly characters with colors flying across the screen. But for some kids networks, that isn't the case. Instead of parents feeling a sense of relief, they now have to worry about what their children are watching behind their backs, because the true horrors that hide behind the for kids label can be haunting. I'm Visual Venture, and we're diving into the dark world of kids TV shows, starting from the most appropriate shows to the most disgusting ones. I'm not gonna lie, the last ones terrified me. Cow and Chicken. First released in July of 1997, Cow and Chicken was a beloved animated comedy series on Cartoon Network. The show followed an unlikely sibling duo of Cow and Chicken as they went on a series of wild adventures. The series became a fan favorite for its out-of-pocket humor, but most of these praises came from adult watchers instead of actual kids, since many of the jokes were clearly targeted at a much older audience. When it came to kids, Cow and Chicken wasn't exactly the best show to watch. Many of the show's main punchlines tied back to inappropriate undertones, particularly referring to butts. Although using butts as the butt of the joke is a common thing in cartoons, Cow and Chicken takes it to a whole nother level by making it an actual plot point in some episodes. Cow in particular is always seen showing her behind to the screen, and the character is only supposed to be 7 years old. Chicken, her older brother, is only 11. But while this can be argued as just part of cartoon culture, there's also other red flags about the show that parents have pointed out, or more like a red character. The show's main antagonist is a character named Red Guy, who's the mayor of the fictional town that Cow and Chicken live in. This character is constantly trying to get in the way of Cow and Chicken's plans. Red Guy never wears clothes, and like Cow, he always has his behind exposed. Red Guy was first introduced to the audience in the pilot episode No Smoking as the main antagonist, and is very clearly portrayed as the devil. In this episode, he's shown as the ruler of hell, and he is actively trying to recruit Chicken to join him. In order to bring someone to hell, Red Guy has to convince them to make a bad choice. So he decided to tempt Chicken into taking a cigarette and smoking it, which landed him in hell for smoking at a young age. While there, Red Guy continues to force Chicken to smoke even more cigarettes to the point of suffering. Almost immediately after airing, this episode was banned from television networks for being too inappropriate for kids. And although the showrunners intended to scare kids away from smoking, parents argued that children may take the episode at face value. And with implications of hell and the Red Guy being who he is, parents were also concerned about the portrayals of religious figures in the series. After such a controversial first episode, Cow and Chicken completely shifted their direction and even rebranded the devil to just Red Guy. But even after such drastic changes to the show's main premise, parents were still concerned over the content of the show. Although Red Guy's name was changed, his appearance remained entirely the same, and his behavior was also not something that kids should be seeing. Throughout the series, Red Guy and Cow and Chicken end up slowly going from enemies to friends. However, this comes at a price, because Red Guy ends up getting overly friendly, constantly being intimate but aggressive with the two main characters, who, as I mentioned, are meant to be 7 and 11 in animal form. He always has a specific interest in Cow, who is a female character.
Oh, sweetheart, you have got it going on. Oh, you are high styling, babe. Those come here sailor eyes, that kiss and tell. Oh, gotcha!
Help! Help, big brother! Help!
What if somebody did this?
At one point, there was an episode where Red Guy pretended to be a doctor named Dr. Bottoms, and when Cow goes in for a doctor's visit, he ends up doing a checkup for other parts, ones without any medical issues.
Milk sample!
Dr. Bottoms, what's that for?
Well, I'm thirsty, and your daughter's a cow. Do the math!
The real controversy came when Cartoon Network aired a Cow and Chicken episode called Buffalo Girls. This episode was immediately banned after airing because it featured a ton of inappropriate jokes poking fun at the Buffalo characters, a group of characters based on lesbian stereotype. If adult humor was a crime, then Cow and Chicken would just be beginners. The next show we talk about takes things to an entirely new level. Rocko's Modern Life. There are a few kid shows that compare to the amount of innuendos that Rocko's Modern Life has. This American animated series follows the lives of an Australian wallaby named Rocko and his group of eccentric friends. The show first aired on Nickelodeon on September 18, 1993, and ran for 3 years until November 1996. Despite being a kid show, Rocko's has gained a cult following for its adult humor. In almost every episode, an inappropriate topic is being referenced, whether as a joke or right out in the open. Like this scene where Rocko is working at a risque phone hotline.
Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. Rocco? Mrs. Bighead?
Or this one scene where Rocco and Heifer Wolf visit a no-tell motel together. And judging by the hotel clerk's words, there's clearly a picture that they're trying to paint here. Ones the kids should not be seeing.
Won't have room for another 20 minutes. You wait? Oh, we have premature departure. You can have room now. How long you want?
Just till tomorrow.
All night? Okay.
And if you're still on the fence whether or not these are inappropriate, here's one scene you can't deny. Aside from the clear intimacy signs, Rocco's modern life also has more than just one-off scenes that are inappropriate for kids. There's one episode in the series where Rocco has to go visit the doctor's office for a cough. In this episode, there were multiple moments with creepy implications. For starters, the name of the doctor is Dr. Bendova, which, if you couldn't tell already, is a play on words. The doctor examines Rocco's ear to find a naked statue inside of it, and to help cure him, Dr. Bendova prescribes a medication that ends up making Rocco feel more ill, hallucinating even. The shocker, though, is that the audience soon finds out that Dr. Bendova wasn't even a real doctor at all. He was revealed to be a mental patient, meaning that Rocco essentially took unprescribed medication. While Rocco's modern life may be riddled with these types of messages, this next show is just straight up graphic. Before we talk about this insane show, I want to thank this video sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is a vehicle combat MMO game featuring over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, ranging from biplanes and armored vehicles of the early 20th century to fighter jets and battle tanks of the modern age. This game's atmosphere is immersive with lifelike graphics and sound effects. Something that makes War Thunder unique is its detailed damage model. Each vehicle is crafted with distinct components like the engine and fuel tank. When a vehicle is destroyed, the X-ray view shows the exact spot where the vehicle was damaged and the internal parts that were hit. This game has a wide range of customization options too. They have an array of camouflage, historical markings, and decorations for every vehicle, and some of these are designed by you, the community. For me, games like Apex and COD are pretty much impossible to play smoothly even on a gaming PC. But War Thunder is optimized to give you a lag-free experience even on regular machines. This game has over 70 million players that you can PvP. And for those of you military history enthusiasts, this game is for you. Play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox now by using my link in the pinned comment or description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months across all platforms get a massive bonus pack that includes the Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account only for a limited time. The Ren and Stimpy Show. When it comes to classic American cartoons, the Ren and Stimpy Show is a household name. Years ago, when it was still running, it was one of the most popular titles when it came to children's entertainment. But as the kids grew up into adults, they soon began to realize that their beloved kids' cartoon is actually a lot more messed up than they thought. The Ren and Stimpy Show first aired in August of 1991 on Nickelodeon and featured two emotionally unstable characters, Ren and Stimpy, who embarked on a series of unpredictable adventures together, all while battling their behavioral issues. As they embark on journeys, they encounter terrifying scenarios like this one scene where a jester uses a cheese grater on his own arm and then adds literal salt to the wound. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Not only are some episodes highly graphic, but there are also jump scares throughout the series. The main characters are also absolutely deranged, as seen through their behavior in the show. And some of the actions they do are so disturbing that people have said it still bothers them to this day, years after. The most notable example of this is a scene where Ren takes pliers and pulls out all of his teeth, including the nerve endings attached to them. Even as an adult, watching back the scene is still unnerving, pun intended. It seems like time and time again, the characters on the show seem to put themselves in situations that end up getting them hurt. Naturally, the Ren and Stimpy Show also provided their intimate content to children. Some fans of the show have defended it, saying that it was never meant to be a kid's show. But regardless of whether it was meant to be for kids or not, many children did end up watching it. But while Ren and Stimpy seem to rain havoc on themselves, other animated characters act out by doing unspeakable things to others. Invader Zim. Invader Zim is considered one of the most controversial sci-fi kids cartoons ever released, despite winning multiple awards. Its pilot episode premiered on Nickelodeon on March 1st, 2001, and the show ran for only 2 seasons before being cancelled by the network. This is a show that I personally used to watch. The show follows an extraterrestrial by the name of Zim, who has made his way to Earth with every plan to conquer it and take over the human race. Considering the plot, it's obvious that Zim does not consider human beings to be on his level. But his true feelings about the human race are much more disturbing, and you can tell by his actions throughout the show. On April 20th, 2001, just 4 episodes in, Invader Zim labeled itself as one of the creepiest kids shows to ever air on TV after releasing the infamous episode called Dark Harvest. In the second segment of the episode, Zim gets a case of head pigeons, which is a disease that causes pigeons to nest on your head. To get treated for the disease, he needs to visit the nurse. But Zim knows that if she does any tests on him, she'll find out that he's not human, but an alien. So to hide his true identity, Zim goes around the school in search of human organs to replace his own. But these organs aren't just lying around. He has to extract them from the kids at school. Zim goes around taking organs and replacing them with everyday objects like hall passes or school supplies. And in an attempt to replace them, he would eat them so that they would be found in his stomach.
You've gone too far! You're a hideous blob of stolen organs!
I've been working out.
In another episode called Bestest Friend, Zim quite literally takes a machine and uses it to pluck out the eyes of another student so that he can replace them with mechanical ones. The show also uses real-world incidents as plot lines, like in an episode called Plague of the Babies, where a bunch of baby-like beings were being mass abducted. So far, we focused on cartoons, but with live-action shows, real kids are the ones suffering the consequences. Live-action Nickelodeon shows. While we've covered quite a few Nickelodeon shows on this list, so far the most inappropriate productions on the network are ones featuring real people. Not only is the creepy content being acted out live by actual kids, but other things also happen to be off camera. As you might have already heard, Nickelodeon has caught a ton of heat for its associations with the producer Dan Schneider. Although Dan has been the mastermind of popular Nickelodeon shows like Victorious, iCarly, and The Amanda Show, what he's best known for is not his work, but rather what he did to the actors that were part of these projects. From the hidden messages to making actors uncomfortable with inappropriate scenes, all of Dan's shows have been ripped apart for their questionable plot lines. And this history runs deep because Dan's been a walking red flag ever since his first executive producer credit, The Amanda Show. The Amanda Show was a popular sketch comedy show that first premiered on Nickelodeon on October 16th, 1999. The show came out following the widespread success of the sketch comedy show All That. All That kickstarted Amanda Bynes' career in Hollywood, and Nickelodeon knew that they had to capitalize on that. A couple years later, they gave Dan the green light to create the spin-off The Amanda Show, which cemented Dan Schneider as a known kid show producer and paved the road to stardom for Amanda. However, despite the lighthearted nature of this show, it was actually extremely disturbing. After careful analysis of Dan's behavior with the main cast, many people have pinpointed The Amanda Show as the reason for Amanda Bynes' real-world tragedies. In The Amanda Show, Amanda Bynes and a cast featuring the likes of Drake Bell, Nancy Sullivan, and Ashley Tisdale perform comedy sketches to a live audience. They take on a variety of different roles in these sketches, from one-off characters to recurring personalities. But although the goal of the sketches was to make kids laugh, many of them were actually highly inappropriate. Dan had executive power over any and every sketch that was featured on the show, and more times than not, he would make his young cast film a sketch that was not suitable for their age. One of the most well-known incidents was the jacuzzi sketch. During the sketch, Amanda Bynes was wearing a swimsuit and sitting in a jacuzzi next to a fully clothed Dan Schneider, all while Dan cracks the joke at the audience, telling them that he wrote this very scene.
Now, you're the executive producer of the show?
Yeah, I'm the executive producer and I'm the head writer.
You actually wrote the words you're saying to them right now?
Yes, I actually wrote this whole conversation that we're having right now.
At the time, most people didn't even think twice about this scene, but now, looking back, it was a sign that Dan had other motivations. Dan purposely reminded the audience that he had full control over the show, meaning that he could make the actors do anything he wanted and they could not refuse. And all of these questionable sketches became more disturbing after learning that convicted criminals were actually on the set of the show. These staff members were given roles that put them near the cast. One of the cast members, Randy, revealed that a staff member sent her a disgusting picture via email, which she ended up reporting to the police. Brandy was also immediately pulled from the show. Another suspicious plotline in The Amanda Show involved a recurring character that Amanda played called Penelope Taint. Recently, the Quiet on Set docuseries revealed that the last name Taint refers to a body part within the lower region. But hiding these themes in sketches was not a new thing for Dan. Ever since his time as a producer on the 90s comedy show All That, Dan's shown that he's no stranger to offensive jokes, ones at the expense of his own cast. Brian Christopher Herney was a child actor and part of the main cast for All That's 7th and 8th seasons. Despite being a main cast member, Brian rarely got sketches that appealed to him. In fact, he usually got the worst kind. Brian revealed in the Quiet on Set documentary that he was often forced to play characters that portray black stereotypes. In one particular sketch, Brian was asked to play a kid who was selling cookies, but of course the producers asked him to play it like he was selling drugs. And possibly the most infamous allegation about Dan is that he's into feet, which has made itself known through all of his producer credits. In every show Dan has been a part of, he's placed scenes involving child actors showing their bare feet or even doing weirder things with them. In some of his most popular shows, Dan's had more than just a few scenes where the plot revolves around feet. For example, in season 1, episode 12 of Victorious, everyone at Hollywood Arts High School is obsessing over Trina's soft feet. There's a scene where she's standing in the hallway with her bare feet out while classmates form a circle around her to touch her feet. The episode then progresses with feet being a central plot line. Everyone is envious of Trina and her soft feet, so she shares her secret, puka fish, which eat at the dead skin of her feet. In this episode, multiple actors had their bare feet out, and this is just one of the many instances on Victorious where the stars have had to show their feet on camera. Not to mention that iCarly and Sam & Cat also had similar themes. But undoubtedly, the creepiest scene on Nickelodeon involving feet is this clip of Ariana Grande. This video recently resurfaced and went viral after the Quiet on Set documentary dropped because it's one of the biggest red flags that we failed to notice when Dan was a top dog in the industry. This video was produced for theslap.com, a website designed for fans of the show Victorious. It imitates the social media platform seen on the show. Cast members would upload short video diaries there to give the site an authentic feel to keep fans engaged. Ariana Grande was no exception. But unlike some of her other cast members, her videos always seemed to be the most disturbing because it seemed like she was being made to do things that could be interpreted in dirtier ways.
Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out!
Not only is it odd for kids to be watching Ariana shove her foot in her mouth, but the video is also filmed in a very specific way. There are multiple jump cuts of Ariana from different angles while making certain expressions. And this wasn't the only time that Ariana was forced to create content like this. And when you see the rest, you might even think that that video was nothing.
Sometimes I wonder if you can get juice from a potato.
That clip was actually posted on theslap.com. It's pretty obvious what that potato was meant to symbolize. But there's more. Ariana's character, Kat, constantly posted these types of vlogs on theslap.com. While they didn't usually air on TV, there were thousands and thousands of kids visiting the site every day because they were huge fans of Victorious. But instead of seeing appropriate content, they were seeing content like Ariana trying to drink water upside down.
Is it possible for a teenage girl to drink water upside down?
And these are just a few of the countless examples. With Dan having been a part of almost all of the most popular kids shows from the last 20 to 30 years, it's almost impossible for a kid to have not seen some of his work. But while Dan may have pulled the strings behind the scenes, some are openly disturbing while the cameras are rolling. Just Like Mom. Just Like Mom was the go-to entertainment for kids and families in suburban Canada in the 1980s. This game show hosted by Fergie Ulver featured kids and their mothers as they tried to match each other's answers to a series of questions. The show aired on CTV from 1980 to 1985 with a total of 595 episodes. The first round of the show started with Fergie interviewing the kids, asking them questions about their mom and seeing just how much they knew about her. But things got concerning because Fergie would get a little too up close and personal with the contestants, and not just through the questions.
Can I have a hug and a kiss? I can't have one? Even if I say and whisper in your ear that Allison, you're gonna win the show?
Fergie would go as far as to straight up kiss contestants while they were answering questions, all without asking for permission from them or their parents. It even got to the point where Fergie openly admitted his desire to marry one of his contestants. Meanwhile, his wife was co-hosting the show and said nothing about it. Fergie did this to almost every contestant that went on his show. Their mothers were on set too, since they had to participate in the second round, but few could do anything with all the cameras on them. Unfortunately, Fergie had made this the new norm for Just Like Mom. No one in the audience, staff, or even his own wife seemed to question what he was doing, so nothing much was done. And the show kept running, although Fergie eventually stepped down. Fortunately, things changed dramatically after he was no longer the host, and it doesn't seem like any action was taken against him. But Fergie, my friends, is still far from the worst. That honor goes to Ron William Brown, the most revolting child show host ever. Joy Junction. Joy Junction was a Christian-themed game show featuring a ventriloquist named Ron Brown and his puppet Marty. The show had kid contestants participate in a series of challenges, do a wide variety of different religious activities, and learn lessons from the Bible. Joy Junction aired on TBN in the mid-1980s. But don't let the name fool you, because there was nothing joyful about the show. In fact, it was much more sinister than anyone could have ever imagined. At first glance, the only creepy thing about the show may have just been the creepy design of the puppet, but if you take a closer look at how Ron interacted with the kids, you might find it a little more unsettling. Ron would host weekly gatherings with the younger cast members at his trailer park home. These were his so-called pizza parties. And while this was already weird, no parent suspected that Ron, a religious host of a Christian game show, would be up to anything wrong.
How it all started was all of a sudden there was boys found at his house.
When Ron was caught, he was quick on his feet. He said that these clothes were actually for his puppet Marty. And since Ron was loved by many of the members of his Christian community, they took his word for it, assuming it was the truth. But that was their mistake. Over time, it started getting harder and harder to deny that Ron may not be the person that everyone thought he was. So his home was searched by the police, and they found incriminating evidence of exactly what Ron had planned to do with some of the cast members, and it involved cooking and eating them. Fortunately, they were able to lock him up before he could carry out any of those plans, and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Let these shows be a reminder that things aren't always what they seem, and if you take a closer look, you might find that the truth is darker than you think. My friends, protect the young ones in your life, and always question what lies beneath the surface.